Alright, this is Weapon X Reacts and we're back with another video, and this is going to be a review of Five Nights at Freddy's 2. And to me, I thought it was pretty mediocre, and it's definitely not as good as the first one. And I actually will admit that, despite it being massively flawed, it's still a very entertaining movie that I totally recommend you should go check out once in your life. And I'm just gonna let you know that there will be a lot of spoilers in this review. I'm gonna break down the plot of this film. So 1 year has passed since the nightmare at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza, and Mike has kept the truth from Abby concerning the fate of her animatronic friends. And when she reconnects with them, she sets into motion a terrifying series of events that reveal dark secrets about the true origin at Freddy's. If there was one thing I actually liked about this movie, is that it does a great job at respecting the source material it was based on. And this goes the same way, especially when you look at the first one. But I will admit that the story was generic as fuck. And not just that, but the writing was all over the place. And to me, I really think that this film would have been done way better if it was rated R and not PG-13. I thought the opening scene was easily one of the best scenes I have ever seen in this film, as it's both really intense and depressing at the same time. And it starts off with Charlotte's Emily being left alone outside of Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. And then we see William Afton kidnapping a young boy, which gives her the decision to see what's going on until he finds her. And to me, the best thing about this scene is the way and how it builds tension, and it does a great job at it. And as she runs away, we realize that she has been stabbed multiple times. And then we see the marionette carrying her dead body, and her soul possesses the animatronic. And overall, while this movie was absolute dog shit, this was one of the only scenes in the film that was really well done. I thought the acting was really good, especially from Josh Hutcherson as Mike Schmidt. And he is a man who wants to do everything he can to live a normal life with his sister. But he knows that it would never happen. And the film does a great job of making his character someone you can actually care about. And you can really see that just from how much he developed from the last film. But I will admit that at times it felt like he was completely wasted in this movie. And this goes the same way with Abby. And despite being really well acted, the biggest problem that I had with her character is that the film doesn't give her anything else to work with, as she is just completely forgettable as a character. And this goes the same way with Lisa and Henry, as you don't really care about them that much. If there was one thing I actually liked about this film, is that the designs of the animatronics were really well done, as they felt accurate to what they look like in the games. And it's a great example of the fact that this was made by people who actually care when it comes to giving the fans what they want. But I will admit that at times it felt like they were just put in the film just for the sake of nostalgia bait, and that they were completely underdeveloped. And you can really see that from the marionette, for example. And not just that, but I thought the cinematography in this movie was really well done, and you can really see that for the use of POV shots, which made scenes feel more intense than they already are. And I really like that Vanessa was given an actual character arc in this movie, and she tries to do everything she can to escape her father. And you can really see that in the scene of where he hallucinates that he is still alive. And I just want to say that the camera work in the scene really makes the scene even better than it already is. And I thought the actor did a great job of making her character someone who is both compelling and likable at the same time. And to me, the best thing about this film is that it does a fucking amazing job when it comes to showing trauma in a way that feels realistic and powerful. I thought Michael Afton was really forgettable as a villain, and to me it felt like the film didn't give him anything else to work with, even if the actor does a good job with what he has been given. This is the rating that this film got on Rotten Tomatoes, so for the critics, it's 15%, and for the audience, it's 87%, which is a great example of who this film was made for. And I'm gonna read out the reviews right now. So for the first one, the problem once again is that none of this makes any logical sense. Five Nights at Freddy's 2 operates on a dream logic that feels less like surrealism and more like basic storytelling negligence. For the second one, so much plot and so little point to any of it. For the third review, the only good news is that the sequel is 6 minutes shorter than the original, but will feel infinitely longer. And to me, I think that is absolute dog shit, by the way. For the fourth one, a laughably cheesy, empty-headed follow-up that makes the mediocre 2023 film shine in comparison. For the fifth one, scarier and more coherent than its predecessor, Five Nights at Freddy's 2 still suffers from a convoluted script, but at least won't make viewers feel like they've had their head smashed in by a killer animatronic robot. For the sixth review, I dislike Five Nights at Freddy's 2 more than the first one. The more that they try to make these animatic costumes look scary, the more ridiculous they get. I've seen school mascots that look more intimidating. For the seventh one, an excusable horror sequel that lowers the bar to 0 in terms of fun and fright. The only thing that scares me is this turd's inevitable box office success. Kill me now. What the fuck was that? For the eighth one, Five Nights at Freddy's 2 is a fascinating film because there's clearly a lot of passion and love put into the carefully placed lore and references. I just wish that the same effort had gone into crafting a coherent story. For the ninth one, clunky, overstuffed, and strangely lifeless. Five Nights at Freddy's 2 trades genuine scares for incoherent lore. Even the animatronics can't save a sequel that feels more like brand maintenance than an actual movie. For the 10th review, Five Nights at Freddy's 2 plays best for die-hard fans. For everyone, it's a stitched together sequel with few scares and even fewer surprises, which is something I kind of agree with. And as I read these reviews, it really shows that the critics will always hate on something if it doesn't fit what they want. And I will admit that while this film is flawed, it doesn't deserve this much hate. And if there's one thing I will say is that don't go into this film expecting it to be a cinematic masterpiece. No! It's just a fun movie that was made for the fans. That's it. I thought the soundtrack was absolutely amazing and it fits perfectly with the tone of the film. And I'm gonna show you an example of it right now. The critics will always hate on something if it's not some pretentious art house film. I mean, I saw the film Satan Tango, and that film got 100% and I fucking hate it because it was boring. But it did have some moments that I liked. And I will say that the jump scares just didn't work for me as they were just so predictable and boring. And I will say that the game jump scares are intense, way better than this. I want to see what will happen in like the third film. And I will say that the ending of this film is a fucking banger. Like, it's so unexpected. Like, I thought it would just continue, but it just ended right there. And I will be talking about the ending later on. And I just want to say that the scenes of where the marionette possesses people is really disturbing. So yeah, there are some good moments in this movie. And also, I really think this film would have been way better if it was like released in October instead of December, because that's when horror movies come out. That's just me personally. But this movie just felt like fan service. Just for the sake of fan service. Which isn't that much of a problem. Because this movie was made for people who like the game. They aren't made for critics. As they expect every film to have a good story, good acting, good cinematography, and that's not what they got with this one, because this film was made for a very specific audience that love the games it was based on. It's not a normal kind of movie. It's a video game movie. The critics just need to understand that, because they don't understand what it's like for people that actually like something. They seriously went into this film expecting it to be like the next fucking Godfather. It's not. It's just a stupid horror movie that you can just turn your brain off and enjoy. And that is just something I can't say for most movies being made nowadays. As they feel like they were made by people. They don't want to tell a good story, but just want to push agendas and messaging, and that's not what I saw with this movie. There was no wokeness, there was no politics put in. It was just a fun, entertaining horror movie. And that's just what I want. I'm going to explain the ending of this film. So, after shutting down the animatronics, they realized that their souls are starting to fade away. And then Mike and Abby decide to leave the house. After realizing that Vanessa hid the truth from them for so long, and as they walk off, the marionette comes back to life and starts to possess Vanessa. And the film ends with a post-credit scene showing a group of people trying to raid Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. And when they discover Springtrap's body, they immediately start to leave. And then we see a shot of Springtrap coming back to life, along with William Afton. And then a recorded message is left for Mike, revealing that Henry is William's former business partner and co-creator of the animatronics. And to me, I thought this ending was really good, as it shows just where this franchise is going to go later on in the future, and I really fucking like it. But I will admit that it did feel like wasted potential, especially when you look at how mediocre this movie was. I'm gonna show you the trailers of this film, starting with the first one.
Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. Definitely not the Freddy's I remember.
You're thinking of franchise location. This is the original. Nobody's been here for decades. Some little girl got murdered here. guys hear that?
Hear what?
So this is what it's like? Being normal?
I think we've come pretty far, considering what we've been through.
How's Abby?
Some days she's good. Some days she misses her friends.
This story that you're gonna fix those animatronics? It's only giving her false hope. Can any of you hear me?
Abby, help us. Come find us. I will show you the way. Oh no.
They're out there, Mike.
Where?
Everywhere.
Wherever you go, want to. I'm not done with you. There's no way that'll work. So do you wanna tell me about your bad dreams?
It's always the same.
Your dad? We're never gonna be able to move forward until you deal with some of the mess you left in your head.
My father was a monster. You know that.
Everyone called it an accident, but it wasn't until years later when those 5 children went missing that I knew she was murdered by him.
Are you ever gonna go back to Freddy's, I mean?
I think my sister is here. Where are you gonna run to? What do they want with my sister? Half of this town will be dead by morning.
In conclusion, this film is everything wrong with video game movies as a whole, despite the fact that it was really entertaining and it's doing pretty good at the box office, making $113.6 million on a budget of $36 million, which is a whole lot better than all the other bad movies that came out this year. And to me, I really hope that the next movie is a lot better because this one just didn't work for me. And I just want to let you know that the next films I'm going to be reviewing is Drive, Avatar Fire and Ash, and Blade Runner 2049. So get ready for those. And also, anyway, that's all I got for today. Go away now and always remember, strike back like a weapon against wokeness.